All right, guys. Today is October 3rd, 2023, but really this is day three of 1,827. That's the next 5 years. That's the journey that we're on right now. We're going to go grow 5 years older no matter what. The question is, are we going to grow 5 years older and progress, or are we going to grow 5 years older and we're going to be comparatively the same or behind where we are right now? Doesn't matter if your income goes up in the future, because guess what? If inflation is beating the growth of your income, if inflation goes up 5 times and your income only doubles, aka goes up by two, you are now still 3x down where you are right now. Doesn't matter. Let's say that your country now develops sustainable electricity. So you're like, yes, I am so grateful that I have electricity 24 hours and I got running water. But you are still in that situation where your income is at the same 2x and inflation went up 3x. You're still struggling. I don't think that's an achievement to say, because that's going to happen no matter what. Like if your country is going to do that, that's because people are fighting for it. That's what I mean. Whether you're one of the people fighting for it or not, that's to be another question. So as you see the title, this is called The Next Steps, Grow Your Money Now. Not later, now. When I say now, that's a relative term. It can be immediate or it could be within the next few months, but it still means now. So let's show something right now. Let's show something right now. I want you guys to see this and look at the screen. The other day we talked about the market size. The first day we talked about, the whole background of what we're doing here is on the next 5 year journey. Now, we always got to bring this back to crypto. And so since NFTs are in crypto, we're going to show it here. Now, right now, you see the wallet size here, 0 ETH, 0 wrapped ETH, doesn't really matter. You see the NFTs that are up for sale, 7 Ethereum, 10 Ethereum, those are going for auction. All of these are still going for auction for the Midnight Samurai. We got these NFTs. Whether these sell today, tomorrow, or in the next few months, we're going hard and going heavy on these NFTs. That's why we have that group where everybody can vote on it, because it'll increase the likelihood of it voting. Now, this has been the most popular image that has been uploaded right here. This one right here. And now this was an accidental for a whole week. I literally saw it at an hour. It looks like OpenSea glitches every once in a while. When you put it for 1 hour, it goes for 1 week. There's absolutely no way I can get confused between 7 days is what it will say. It won't say 1 week and 1 week. The other time it put it up for a week when I put it up for an hour. And I even double checked it. I got the screenshot. I was recording the screen and then put it up there. I say, you know what? I'll leave it. I just wanted to do an hour at a time and relist and relist and relist and relist. And maybe it gets to the top of the screen. But we'll be able to relist with these and see what happens. So I'm trying different techniques, going into Twitter Spaces. I just got out of one. That's why I was a little bit behind. We got some big name followers now that followed my page. Who knows what they'll do? We will see. But this is all the work that we need to put in right now. We need to set the foundation right now. Now, what's happening in Africa? Because this is where this group is. This is still Crypto Chat Africa. And we will still put this on the Make Money Online in Africa YouTube channel. That's where all of these are going to go. Every time I'm going with this, whether somebody's in Africa or not, it's still going to go there. The bias is going to be there. The bias is going to be toward Black people. Everybody else, you can benefit from it, obviously. But if you're listening to this and you're not in Africa, or to a greatest extent, the diaspora, it can still benefit you. All of this applies to everybody. But my concern is other Black people. That's pretty much it at this current moment. Now, if you call in or you have a concern, you're Asian, you're European, or something like that, I'm going to give you the exact same care that I give everybody else. When it comes down to this, we're all about here to try to make some money. So with that being said, we got the Midnight Samurai NFTs. We got the Soul Snatcher Specters. We also have a few others. We got the Rabbit Soldier one-offs. Then we got the, looks like we got to renew that listing. Then we got the Soul Tie, which I shouldn't have did this. This was the first one I had listed, the very first one. And I did it until December 24th. Now, I learned that the longer these auctions are, the less likely they are to sell. And that could be for multiple reasons. You don't get a chance to relist it for people to see it. Then I got to promote it outside of the site and all of that stuff. So we'll see how this goes. I haven't really pushed this. I'm pushing Midnight Samurai and I'm pushing the Soul Snatching Specters at once. We'll see if that is proper for me to do on the same profile. Now, how does this help you? Because that's what you're here for. How does this help you? The next steps to grow your money now. Now, you could be making NFTs. We talked about the AI creations with these, right? You can make NFT music with that, where you can have some art, but then it also comes with music with that, where they got the voice changers now. Some of you might be priced out of this. Some of this is free. Some of you are priced out because you don't have a computer and you really need a computer. That's why you're priced out. You're not priced out because it costs too much money. You're priced out because you can't afford a computer, don't have a computer, don't have the data. Some of you with MTN in Nigeria, it only costs 20K now. It was 15, but now it's 20. Or it depends if you got the Wi-Fi versus your phone. Some of these things are better on a computer. It's always good to have a computer and and your mobile phone. Some of them you can do there. Now, the way I told you all through the AI, you can do that on your mobile phone, but it's going to be a lot more janky and a lot harder. So that means you want to specialize in the one-offs or the low quantity. Because if you're coming with these, the Midnight Samurai is eventually going to be 2,300, 33. You don't really want to do that. That's going to take so much time. You want to specialize in something like these. These are 10 altogether, even though they have 720. Only 10 will ever be published. That's it. If there's going to be a spinoff, maybe. But as far as the Soul Snatching Specters, those are only going to be that. So these are 2 of the 10 that are listed. So that's something you want to specialize in. Low quantity, maybe it's a higher price, or you just say, hey, look, I'm still going to list this at $5, $2, $15, or something like that, right? $20, $24, or $25. That's what these Midnight Samurai are approximately, except for the animated ones, they're basically $600. But the non-animated ones, and you can price the animated ones at that lower price too, because at the end of the day, you're trying to give your brand a value. Now, I'm giving you the options there. The previous videos that I had, and if you guys are new to this channel, if you're new to this, maybe you didn't see it, so maybe you want me to do it in the future. If so, then let me know in that comment section, in the post recording, or even in the Telegram group right now, and you make a mention of that. And then what I'll do is I'll do another video on some of the AI, but I'll have to do it from the computer. And you can basically do the same thing from the phone, except it will be very limited. All right. Because it does take data. When you do this AI, it takes the data from your device and is actively pulling from your device partially. So it's not like I press a button here, generate some art, and then close the tab and then go somewhere else, turn off the computer. It doesn't work like that. I got to leave the tab open and I got to leave it open. That's what I discovered. It is actively pulling from your internet and electricity. So here's some other steps. Yesterday, we talked about avocados. So let's get a little bit more organized. And let's bring this up on the screen. Give me 1 second. I'm going to stop sharing the screen so I can bring up the other browser. I got a bunch of different browsers, a bunch of different tabs open right now. Oh, this is actually under the same one. I didn't even have to do that. I thought it was a different browser. It's actually the same one. 1 second. Let me bring this back up on the screen. So let's refresh what we talked about yesterday. So yesterday we were talking about the avocado industry, and I broke down how you can be making money based on China. Now, Kenya did a deal with China, and I think they opened it up to $300 billion US worth of business over from Kenya that they're importing. They started importing June of 2022. So it's basically been just over a year. Now, the number one exporters of avocados that sell to China is Peru. But in order to get in the market, and this is what I was telling before, I said, yeah, Africa's going to get a lot of money. And I said this to somebody on a different stream. The One Africa on YouTube, he's One Africa English. He's got his Swahili No, it's Swahili Nation. There we go. Swahili Nation. I was in his chat yesterday, and I was in his live stream, and we started going to different topics and whatnot. It was supposed to talk about President Ruto, but definitely changed somewhere else. But what I found out is that you're not going to be able to sell at the price everybody else is doing for Africa. They're going to undercut you. They're going to try to look for a deal. And I mean, that makes sense because China took that. They ate crap for basically 50 years. And then they were able to build themselves up. So it's not like you can't sell at a slightly cheaper price than somebody else. You don't want to do dumb, stupid, cheap prices. Okay, Kenya's selling between 8 and 15% lower than Peru. Okay, great. That's fine. Okay, that makes sense. You don't want to be like, yeah, I'm 90% cheaper, like how some of you guys are getting paid now. You guys are getting paid 90% cheaper somewhere else. Makes no sense. What are you, a robot? And then eventually they'll say, hey, look, if you don't want to take this, we'll just use AI. And then some people will unknowingly and unwittingly take that low wage, and then they'll still use the AI, but they'll have them there at managing the AI. You guys want to have a fair price. So China had to do a lower price. They also did this. This is what you guys got to remember. If you do business with other countries and they start to invest in you, you better do like what China did, which was the 50-50 agreement. Because just like To Niger, he was saying, hey, I'm broke already. And I said, no, take that mindset, but take it to business. Look, if you're broke already, hey, look, you could take your bad business deal and shove it. Because I'm going to be broke. I was broke 20 years ago. I was broke yesterday. I was broke the last 5 years. It ain't going to get worse. I'm just broke. So you can shove your bad business deal. And when you want to come with one of respect, then we'll do some business with you. Because otherwise, middle finger to you. That's how you're supposed to approach this. This is how business negotiation work. You can come from a inferior position and come out with a winning position. But too many of you guys come out from an inferior position and leave in a worse position. Like these deals where China doesn't have to have all the minerals. They're giving you a better position than US and Europe, where they're going to say, do what we say. We're going to give you a little bit of trinkets, and then we're going to bomb the mess out of you and assassinate you, aka coup, if you don't listen to us. Where what is that? The uranium was being sold at 99% cheaper. So France was giving Niger 99% discounted price. They're selling it to them at basically, let's say $1. That's even more than what they were getting. But France is selling at 230. So remember how we said in crypto, if you were to go by 99% down or something like that, you can't really tell how much a person lost. Because you could say 1,000, 1,000,000% up. But you could go 1,000,000% down. That's why I like to speak in percentages and speak from a starting area and say, this is how much percent down compared to this price level. But if you say 99% loss, you don't know if a person lost $1 million. You don't know if they lost one. That's still 99%. So when I say 99% here, this is rape. That was economic rape. Okay. And you don't want to put yourself in that position. So China's coming and they say, hey, we're going to do you better. And obviously some of these politicians, I shudder to call them leaders, but some of these politicians will come up and say, yeah, you know what? That's a good deal. You get 40% of our profits. That's how a lot of these deals are. That's why China isn't like, yeah, we'll take over your port or something if you default on the debt, because it might make them look bad internationally. They'll say, hey, look, you know what? We'll give you a couple extra years, a couple decades, but we are going to take 40% of the profits of your lithium here. Now, that's unheard of in basically anything. If you get 20%, you are a superstar. I mean, Mark Zuckerberg barely got around, I think it's 18% of any of his net worth is of Facebook. And think about it. He started the company. Bill Gates is not, his net worth wasn't even a fraction of that 20%. You are more likely to be like, hey, 5% or something like that, but somebody getting 40%. And quite frankly, I guess that makes sense because they're training you, you would think, but they're sending their own people here. Now, I'm going to go only on this tangent for the next 2 minutes, and then I'm going to go back to where the money is, because this is important to know. You cannot make money without knowing all of the context, because you're doomed to repeat your history if you're not aware of your history. And this is what too many people don't know. You got the internet, and yet you're more ignorant than people that didn't have the internet. It's crazy. So here's the thing. Think about how Britain did India for their occupation when they were colonizing them. They stole $13 trillion worth, 13 trillion pounds worth of money from out of India. This is how they did it. They said, hey, India, let's use this avocado chart right here. Let's say the avocado is what they were importing from India. So they, of course, would pay for that. Even though they colonized them, they will pay them because they can't have them with no money. But they will undercut them by a lot. So obviously they will buy avocados from the United States, let's say for $10. And India, they will pay $1. Okay, great. Not great, but great. We understand the math. They give them $1 for every avocado that they import. Great. Now, let's say that was 5 trillion pounds worth of avocados. Now, here's something else that they had. They said, okay, your business is there. Obviously, the businesses have to pay tax in India because they're under British colonial rule. So they're going to pay a tax because they're going to say, adopt our system, not yours. Maybe they didn't have a taxation system, but now they do. That's what the West does. They export everything they do. So now the business owners there, they're going to pay a tax. Great. Let's say it's 30%. So out of that 5 trillion, now you only got, let's say, of profit, you only have what, 2.7 trillion or something like that, somewhere around there. On top of that, this is going year after year. They have a colonial tax for the nation of India. How about this? Did you know that the colonial tax for the nation of India was basically the same as whatever they imported? So if they imported 5 trillion pounds of avocados, their colonial tax is now 5 trillion. What does that mean? They got free avocados because India made the profits of it. We're talking about 5 trillion pounds of profits, not 5 trillion revenue. We're talking about profits. Now the colonial tax is ironically the same that you had. Actually, India not only gave them free stuff, they took a loss because in their own country, their own business owners, their own people now have to still pay a secondary tax. Colonial tax is separate from the business tax. The business tax will help pay for the colonial tax, of course, but the business owners are coming out net a loss. And this is what Britain did to India for decades and decades and decades. That's what they did. This is the same thing that can happen to Africa. When you talk about they're building factories out, they're sending their Chinese workers to Uganda, to Kenya, to Nigeria, and all over the place. And half of them, at least, or maybe a good portion, 20%, however it is, because some of the politicians are now changing up their tune. But before, you send half the workers or a good portion of them because they have the skills and you don't, to be fair. In the beginning, that should be the case, right? But you're giving them a loan. That's what's happening. They're giving you a loan, sending their own workers. Now, where's that money from that loan going? To the Chinese workers once again. So part of that loan money is going to the Chinese workers. So they and the businesses. So China basically is getting paid back. Plus they're going to get their loan back plus interest, and they got the agreement. Now, that's why they're not really concerned, and they're giving better business deals because they have to. People got to give better business deals. That everybody can't come in how the West was doing before. But that's still a horrible agreement. So you guys got to remember this. When you're coming out to do business deals and you got somebody investing in you, you got to come with a win-win scenario. They're still going to make money. That's only fair. But you got to come out with a winning situation where you can actually grow. Now, let's go back to this. That was more than 2 minutes. That's probably 5. Let's go back to this. Now, yesterday I talked about, and I'll continue on this, avocados. Now, avocado is something that even based on this information, let's look here. This was the African Development Bank here, numbers, where it said the fastest middle class is growing out of Africa. That's the fastest growing middle class in the world. Now, it said that it is projected to stabilize about 4.1% growth between 2023 and 2024. All right, great. Now, it went to 3.8% growth. Now, this is GDP numbers, so that's probably just inflation. That's the way I look at it, because I look at real stuff. But if we just took their numbers, these Western numbers and Europeans and all of their scam numbers, there's the growth. Now, if you want to say, hey, it's still the fastest growing middle class, and here's the visual number that I put in the Telegram yesterday, and you say, okay, even though Russia's number is inaccurate because it is the bias of the IMF, and Russia actually grew, and China's actually closer than this, it's only like a $1 trillion US dollar difference. These numbers are still highly accurate for everybody else. All right. Africa's this little tiny place right here, and still smaller than India as far as the economy. How do we get Africa to be, how do we get individual African nations? Because that's what I'm concerned with, actually. I'm concerned with individual African nations being basically half the pie right here, half of this pie. That's what I'm looking at. All of them put together, if you put Africa together, should be half, if not more, of this. That's the way it would be on paper. That's what you would think, because all the resources, or at least 35 to 40%, because China does have a lot of the rare earth minerals in their one country. So that would be fair, you would think. So how do we get it where Africa is going to at least grow from the 2% size it's at now to at least get into 10%? That's a 5x growth, and you make money. Well, here, easy. We start to look at where opportunities are being opened up, which is avocados. China consumes the most out of the eastern area. It's very close there. There's a whole avocado industry in the United States that they try to specialize. There's a whole board of directors that they specialize in pushing avocados because of the heart healthy studies or whatever. And while that could be true, all you got to do is eat vegetables and stuff, and you wouldn't even really need to worry about avocados. But I'm not concerned with that. We're talking about business here, okay? So if you were to grow avocados, it takes about, I think if you put it in the seed in the ground, it takes, 12 or 15 years to grow. But if you put it like in some kind of pot, not even like a pot, but some other, you got to do the research there. But if you were to put it into, I forget what the technique is called, then it will grow within 4 years. So it goes from, it is basically a 4x smaller wait time. Now, over the next 5 years, where is that number? I had it yesterday. It's going to go from 16, basically 17 trillion, because that's 16 point whatever billion, or 16 billion, up to 30. So basically, it would double by 2031. And that's actually even more than the 5 years. There was some number I had with 5 years. I don't want to go and look for that right now, because we're going to talk about more than avocados. If you want to see that, go to the last video. I know I'm sounding very janky and disorganized right now, which is going to turn off some people. But hey, bear with me at this current moment, because this information is more important than me sounding disorganized. Now, here are the things that you can do with avocados. The lowest form of profit that you can get, and this is the point I wanted to get to, is raw. Raw oil, like when you export raw diamonds, unrefined gold, unrefined anything, is going to be the lowest price structure that you can have. Unrefined cocoa, unrefined coffee beans, that's going to be the lowest price structure, which is what Africa is fighting for right now. If you can put your money into manufacturing businesses, whether that is teaming up with Chinese-based businesses, hey, it's about money, right? So, or your own homegrown ones. This is what is very important. Yes, raw avocados is going to give you $300 billion worth of value, according to the deal that China has made with specifically Kenya, if I'm not mistaken. It could be Kenya and South Africa, or it could just be all of Africa that they have open, but the first deals were with Kenya and South Africa. I don't know. I actually forgot that offhand. But the point is $300 billion. Raw, that's what it's talking about. Then you got the processed ones that gets turned into avocado oil, guacamole, and the puree. I've eaten guacamole a bunch of times. You can increase the price by a lot. You could just buy a bunch of avocados for US dollars, let's say it like that. Or you could buy a significantly smaller portion that's mixed with pepper, tomatoes, and all of this other stuff. And that same net weight would then have increased to maybe 15. Because you could spend $5 on that, $2-3 on something else, $2-3 on here, and the same $15. Let's say you got to spend 20. That same $20, that's what I found out. You spend slightly more than what you got was processed, and you make it yourself, then you can make triple or 4 times that amount. So whatever you would see with guacamole, you got to spend maybe less. Let's even make it worse and say if it was $15 US to buy that, you got to buy $30 worth of all the ingredients, the pepper, the tomatoes, the whatever, the vinaigrette, whatever, all of that stuff, and the avocados. Even if it was double, you could then go out and sell, here's 15 and 15. You sold 2 of them, you made your money back. You got 2 more. Now you've made double what you made. It doesn't really matter, does it? You've now made double by doing it that way. So if you were to sell processed avocados, puree means blended, then you could make more money. But at the very basic one, you got an avocado farm. Now, here's how you guys can link this up together. Now, we got one person that's here. Giddy, shout out to you. And before I mentioned the Ugandan Manufacturer Association, if I'm not mistaken, Uganda Manufacturer Association, the AMA. If it could be some other name, but you guys look that up. Uganda has a very, 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 very small association. If you looked at Great Britain, if you looked at the United States, if you looked at even South Africa, Uganda has a very small one. So every one person member represents a whole company. And Uganda basically got like a handful in comparison. It's basically a few hundred. Britain has basically tens of thousands. You would think that they wouldn't have that much, but tens of thousands or thousands at the very least. USA, same thing. South Africa, approaching around 1,000 or so. Uganda has a huge potential, especially because they got sanctioned by the U.S. and they're going to get blocked out. So they're going to go closer to Russia and China. So since avocados are grown in the tropical and Mediterranean type of climates, this is perfect. Because if Uganda is being pushed at no other choice, like the U.S. is sanctioning and China's open for business, that means they might say, hey, we want you to sell your avocados 20% cheaper. We want you to sell it cheaper than Kenya. You got no other choice. You got to come to us. Great. That's fine with me. What I'm going to do is I'm going to have a farm of avocados. I'm going to partner up with somebody in the cosmetic, because this is what I said before yesterday. Cosmetics is one of the highest profit businesses. As you can see up here, it says a 7 point, here it is. Furthermore, the maximum growth potential is registered by the cosmetics and personal care industry by CAGR, which is compound annual growth rate of 7.3%. All right, I'm going to say it one more time. Maximum growth potential. Obviously, potential is different than actuality. By the cosmetic and personal care industry. Compound annual growth rate of 7.3%. Now, that might seem small to the people that's used to crypto and say, well, crypto numbers do this. Okay, if you were to do a compound growth rate of 7.3%, you could double that industry, I think, in 4 years, if I'm not mistaken. So you could have 300 billion. Now it's 600 billion. I could be off by 1 year. It could be 5. But you're basically going to double that sooner than you think. And not everything is with crypto, because you don't want it to be like crypto, where it could double in like the same year. That means it could do the opposite and cut in half or worse in 1 year. You don't want something like that where you're talking about a farming and physical product. You don't want that. So we got raw and processed. Cosmetic is processed. Why don't you partner your farm and do a contract with them? You might be trying to sell avocados on the market. Great. You got 3 different businesses. You sell the avocados on the market. You sell it to China so that they can rebrand, or whatever your brand is. They sell it over there. Let's call it the Giddy Express brand. Giddy Avocados. Instead of avocados, it's Giddy plus avocado. So it's Giddy Cados. We're going to shout out to you because you're the one that's here. That might be your brand, and you're doing Giddy Cados, and that's what you're selling in China. You're selling it locally, but you also partner with somebody else that's wanting to do personal care and makeup. And they say, hey, here's some face scrubs. And you know who the number one market is for cosmetics, for the cosmetic industry on the planet? Just wait for a second. So either you're here on the live or you're in the recorder. We're going to give you a chance to do that. The number one. Now, they might not be this all the time in sheer profit or numbers, but I'm going to tell you the number one consumer of the cosmetics. Because you might say, well, the number one is because they got more money. Okay, let's take that out for a second. Who's the number one consumer of cosmetics? And when I say cosmetics, I mean skin creams and all of that stuff. You probably wouldn't even be able to guess it. All right, I'm going to put the answer right here. The answer is Black people. I mean, you're in Africa right now, and you don't even realize that the number one people that's buying it. Why? Well, that's easy. Black people's skin needs to be, moistened all the time. This is not like the more oily skin of the Europeans. They need more sunscreen. So you're going to say sunscreen goes to them. The moisturizers and all of that goes to Black people. It's only you all you got to do is look at the demographics of people and then realize that. Taking care of your hair. Now, this is the part that isn't good because there's too many people wearing wigs all over the place in Africa and Caribbean. Like this, that's not in that's not a Black American thing. I'll just straight say that there are some that do it, and the baby boomers are the most actually. And then you got some younger ones, but that's not something that's there. So actually, if you had a hair care business and that self-care hair care, you could sell it very well in the US. You might sell it okay in Africa, but it's a very niche market. Now, I'm going to be one of the people, and I'm telling you right here, I'm going to sell both the wigs and I'm going to do the other side. I'm taking both sides of the argument like white supremacy. White supremacists take both sides of an argument so that you think they're on your side no matter what. They'll say, yeah, we need to liberate the Africans. And then they'll say, yeah, these dirty Africans. They'll do both sides of the argument. And you'll be like, what? And both of them are white supremacists. Both of them. So you take both sides of the market. I'll be selling wigs. I've been trying so hard to partner up with somebody. Been very annoying. And then you sell the hair care. And then I'll be marketing, hey, you don't need to be wearing your wigs. You need to take care of your hair because that is actually true. I'll begrudgingly sell the wigs because that's about money. And if people are going to be there, I'm not here to judge. I am in this market to make money and to make an excellent product. That's it. That's it. Any of my personal feelings, any of my politics, any of that could go to the wayside until it gets to the point where it's like, hey, I'm going to stand up for people. If there's some discrimination, I will use my company to make a stand on those things. But at the end of the day, my primary purpose is to make a good-ass product and to make a profit. I don't personally like wigs on people. I don't at all. But I will sell them a wig. If you're the person that buys a wig, great. Fantastic. If there's a guy that wants to buy a wig and you do your own thing in your bedroom, great, fantastic. Where's my money? That's where it is. So cosmetics and personal care. Find out how to do that and tap into that in the avocado because other people are going to talk about the health. You let the doctors talk about the health thing. Let the other people, maybe even myself, talk about the health thing. And you start to see the trend go somewhere, which the trend is the avocados right now. That's the trend. Also trend are coffee. That is what they're pushing right now to increase the value added portion of coffee. So if you can grow the coffee beans and then you'll actually make even more money if you have the coffee manufacturing business. You'll make even more money because that's what Uganda and the other G25 group, they had done so many conferences this year. They're pushing that very hard. So if you do that, that is where you're going to make the money. I gave you two things that you could do right now. Avocados, coffee beans, partnering up with somebody. If you don't have the money to get those, which you should have the money, you could scrape that together. Find the other investors. Find the people that's out there. Contact those people. Put it together. There are many people, I'll put it this way. There are many people that have used money to leave their country, and they found money to leave the country, but they didn't find money to put their heads together to start a business. There are many people that have spent money. We found out that it was $4,000 a person to leave Haiti. But and then you got like so many people on the ship. And it's like, okay, 20 of you times 4,000, that's 80,000. You couldn't use that for something else? Use that to get security for yourselves, plus the businesses. Use that, plus now there's another 40 people, because that's just one ship. We're not talking about the numerous ships that come by and come by and come by. What is happening with other people that are going from nation to nation? How much money are they spending to come from Africa to get up to Europe? How much money are they spending that they could have otherwise spent and cobbled their money together to have a group business, a networked business in their community? Now, I'm not saying, hey, everybody has to do that. Everybody's not going to be good at that. But how about you reach out to other people that barely have any money too? Or maybe they got more money than you expect. You don't know until you start asking and talking to people. Get them to come together. This is how we can make our money now. So if there's anybody here that are actually on the investor side, hey, let's talk. Let's talk. Drop it in the comment section below. Then I'll share my email with you. And then let's go ahead and talk. Maybe you drop your WhatsApp. We share that on WhatsApp and everything. Let's talk. I will even use that to my advantage. If I got a platform, you guys are already doing it. You already got a company. Let's talk. Because there's a lot of people here that we can do, that we can take some advantage of and use our brain power. Put it together. Put it to a good use. All right. I'm replying to somebody really quick. But anyway, I think that's what we're going to do. Today's even shorter than even the previous days. We're getting shorter and shorter on these. But we're going to come up with another topic tomorrow. So if you guys have something that you want me to see, then let me know. If there's a topic that you all want to see, let me know, and then I'll get on top of that. But we're going to be talking about growing money. The next steps is day 3. Every day we got to work toward getting toward our goals. We made a 5-year goal already. Like, we've made a 5-year goal already that we got internally. You've got to make a 5-year goal if you haven't already. 5, 10, 20, 50, 100-year plan. Now, you might say, well, I don't think I'm going to be alive in 100 years. Don't matter. Make that plan. That plan can be carried out by your children or other people that are around you that would take that up. Did you know that what you see today are 20, 50, 100-year plans already in effect? China is on year 50-something, 54, 55 of a 102-year, 100-year plan. The people that made that plan are all dead, every single one of them. The original makers and authors of that plan are all dead, yet China is over here killing the game based on the plan that they made. These people may not have known AI or space flight and all of that stuff even back when they were considering it. I think they would have known space flight technically, because 50, 60 years ago, yeah. But they wouldn't have known all of these technologies and everything like that. They could guess at some of it, but there's even going to be things 10 years from now, 50 years from now that they could not have anticipated. And guess what? That plan is so solid that it can be adjusted to new market conditions. That's what it is. Yeah, you might see this plan and you just adjust the plan. You got somewhere you want to go, you can adjust that. And I'm telling you guys, come along with us. We got the plan. If you follow the plan and outline that we got, you come, here comes championships ensue. You're going to see these channels explode. You're going to see our channel explode. You're going to see other people that are listening to us explode. You're going to see a bunch of winners here. You're going to see some people that fell along the way. They did not put in all the effort, and sometimes that is just how life is. But you're going to see that if you listen to our plan of action, which I did not give the plan today necessarily in all concrete detail. I actually more so gave an outline of some things that you can do. Right, I gave an outline of things that you can do. Eventually, as the channel grows a little bit more, I think we're gonna have people that call in either on StreamYard or on other places, Zoom or something like that, and we're gonna have them in, and we're gonna talk about these specifically. You can call, ask questions. We could say, hey, here's what you can do, because then we're gonna have enough people that have followed through. They know what to do. They're gonna drop their knowledge and their advice, and then championships ensue, like I said. So anyway, we'll catch you all tomorrow. Yet again, another video, same black time and same black place. All right, peace.